Yeah, here we go.
Chicka, chicka.
Yeah.
Kill Bill and Rev. We don't suck. Ooh. Nice.
Dude, I got a sexy asshole.
Bill, what episode is it? And say it in the accent of your people.
Snevny.
Yeah, it is. It is.
You know what that accent is? Prussian.
Prussian.
Yeah, I have a Prussian accent.
Do you have any genetic sort of ties to Prussia?
Prove that I don't, pussy.
Do you have any German in you?
Probably. I have a DNA test, and it says that I'm 100% that bitch.
Do you have any Polish or German in you? If you do, yeah, then Prussia is right.
I think I have a little bit of German in me. I don't think I have any Polish in me though.
You're about to have a whole lot of Asian in you. I'm gonna tell you what.
Hey, stay away from me.
Can I tell you something? Okay, I don't know if we talked about this, but at the start of this year, in January, me, my girl, my brother, my sister, all did the DNA ancestry test thing, right? We conducted it at the same time. It was in the morning. We're about to all head out different directions. We all spit in our, things, packaged them, and sent them all off. Yeah, it was great. And we all did that, and then everybody got their responses like 3 weeks later or something like that, right? Oh, you're this, you're that. Oh, how everyone's having fun talking about their genetic construct. What's going on with you, Rav? Pending. They're still analyzing it. I think it's going to be really interesting. I can't wait to get it.
Yeah.
It says it's going to be delayed, but I should have it like within 2 weeks. Okay, cool. We're going to have our own little discussion about our DNA, and you can't be a part of it. So,
right, you freak.
2 weeks later, turns out something went wrong with the DNA sample. So they're like, oh, send another one. So I send another one.
I like how they sound.
That's what they sound like. They're like, oh, send another one. We lost the sample. Send another one, please. So I sent another one. Again, followed the instructions to the T. And what do you know?
Just listen. Okay,
Next time I'll just shit in it.
I have some theories, but I have a theory on what you should do if you have to send it again. Do you have to send it again? Have you sent another one?
Well, so I did send the second. I sent the second one, right?
Yeah.
The story goes on. Check this out. It takes some twists and turns. 6-8 weeks later, guess what? Something fucking went wrong again. So guess what? Your boy has to send another DNA sample. My third one. My box arrived today, so I'm probably going to send it off tomorrow. So whatever advice you have right now is the best time to give it to me.
Okay, perfect. Come in it.
Okay, that's not a bad idea.
Because think about it. Like, the worst they can do is be like, why'd you come in it?
Yeah, dude, that's the worst thing that can happen. They'll say, why'd you come in it? We're not giving you a fourth chance. Because up until now, the second and third box that they sent me, they were all, those boxes were free.
Yeah.
Because the mistake is on their end. I sent them an email saying, what's happening? What are you doing with my fucking sample? Can you please tell me how this happens and how you can prevent it from happening? And they're like, it just happened. It just happens. There's nothing we can do. Please send another one, please.
Why do you sound like Carlos Mencia right now?
That's how I always sound when I
when you
assume
when you snap
assume
on
a
them.
corporate entity.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I snap on them. Yeah. So, oh man, that's been a bit frustrating, but it is what it is. It's just except for the fact that it's almost been half a year since my initial sample at this point.
Can I give you my theory?
What is it?
That you're an alien and you were placed here at birth.
That's what my girl and my mom said. My girl was like, maybe you're an alien.
Well, your mom would fucking know.
That's what I said. I was like, Mom, this is what's happened. What are your thoughts? I'm pissed.
What if she's just like,
like,
I'm pissed? What if she's just
I'm
like,
pissed.
well, I'm not saying you are, and I'm not saying you aren't.
I was like, I told her I'm pissed, and she's like, maybe you're an alien. I'm like, well, wouldn't you know that? And she said, well, who knows? Maybe these aliens have technologies that knock me out, erase my memories, and replace them with others, and so I don't think you're an alien and that I birthed you, but maybe you are. That's
Man,
literally what she told me.
I don't want to get too.
I said, Mom, that doesn't help.
Listen. I don't want to get too personal here, but I know like your father wasn't around. Like your bio dad.
Yes.
Wasn't around.
Yes, my bio dad was never around. My biohazard
I'm just
dad.
saying he could have been slanging that alien dick, bro. Like he could have been an alien. Like who is to say that you don't?
He could have been slanging that alien dick. Is not a sentence I ever thought I'd hear come out of another person's mouth.
Dude, are you ever surprised at anything that happens on here? Like anymore? Like that's the thing is like the other day I was talking to my mom about some kind of fucking dumb thing that we were talking about on here, and then she was just kind of like, I'm like beyond. She doesn't like listen to the podcast, but she follows us on social media, you know. And
yeah, my mom does too. She follows both of us.
Oh shit! I didn't know your mom followed me. I'm gonna have to hit her with the follow back. You know what I'm saying?
Please don't.
Why not? Do you follow my mom?
I follow your mom.
My mom's great.
Yeah, she's cool. I don't follow my mom though. She's cool too, but like she's way too. I like her that she doesn't go by her real name, and she keeps to herself because her Twitter is hella political.
Yeah. No, I feel
like
that.
She's super liberal, you know, and very vocal.
Yeah, and that scares you.
She just like shits on Trump every opportunity. She's been like suspended multiple times.
She's been suspended? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Over what?
Yeah.
Like what's she doing? Like, harassing people? What's
she said
poppin'?
somebody was like saying something dumb. And she said something dumb, like not dumb back, but like kind of aggressive back.
Yeah.
And they reported her for aggressive language, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah, dude.
Or tone.
That's great. I love that. I gotta say, man, like political Twitter just feels like sports Twitter to me. Like I think it's just honestly just an idea to, not an idea, an excuse to argue with people, like just to exercise the arguey part of your brain. So it's kind of like, I mean, I get it, and I think political Twitter is important, but I think that the majority of it isn't actually important. It's just people wanting to like.
She tries to exercise restraint, but sometimes she'll see something like somebody will say, and it'll be like very unfair or very racist, you know. Yeah. Or homophobic or sexist or stuff like that. And I've learned to just like mute those people immediately.
Yeah.
And mute
don't give them the satisfaction.
Exactly. My mom will.
She said, "Fuck that." She'll ride.
Yeah, she'll try to say something to like piss him off.
Yeah.
You know, but she's been trying to. I've been telling her like, "Hey, you ain't gotta do that. Like, your life will be better the less you do that." But she knows what she's doing. You know.
Yeah. She's rides,
a grown-ass
bro.
woman.
She's got that Glocky.
But people thought I was kidding with the tweet like a few months ago where I said my mom is now following me on Twitter. Quick, guys, stop cursing, right? I mean, obviously I was joking about the cursing part, but I was honest about my mom. She started following me, and she sees everything I post, y'all. Like, everything I post.
Yeah,
so if y'all
remember.
think this shit I post is cursed, like, I mean... Yeah, it is, but like my mom knows, and she doesn't mind.
Okay. Have we talked about the time that your mom found your Twitter and then you like talking to me about it?
Oh my god, yeah, I was on the phone with you and I was like, Bill, what the fuck do I do? Because I was just really worried because my mom knows like I'm a pretty cursed person with like in terms of like my sense of humor sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But she finds my sense of humor funny. Like she really gets me.
Yeah.
Like our household was built off of dookie jokes, you know?
Perfect.
And
It's built
and
of
so
dookie.
I wasn't really worried about that. I was worried that she would think I'm like some sort of unstable fool, because that's all my Twitter is, right? Because I reserve the right to use Twitter just to be a fucking silly goose, right? And I was really worried about her finding out about the rap stuff.
I mean, honestly, dude, you really are just like, you are that person from Twitter. You are unstable, you know?
Right. Okay, maybe a better way to put it is I was worried that she'd find more about the music. She knows I'm a musician. She knows I'm a full-time rapper.
Yeah.
But I try to keep my music away from her ears because my music is super personal. And then a lot of the songs and everything reference her. And she knows she hasn't been the perfect mother in my life, you know? She knows that she was a teenage mom. And single teenage mom, post-Soviet Union slums. And it was a really difficult time, especially for someone that young and on their own. She made a lot of mistakes. She's reading a lot of psychology books and calls me sometimes, just like, damn, makes me really realize how like I fucked up so much. But she's proud that I became who I am regardless of all the things. She knows there were moments where she wasn't supporting me the way that I needed her to support me, but I know that she always did what she thought was right for me. And of course that doesn't erase the hurt, but it's still nice to know that even through her mistakes, at least they came from a good place, you know? I think intent is important. And so
I mean, I feel like your
situation
with her is like definitely like gotten
the healthiest now.
Yeah, like it seems like, because I remember when that happened, you were like, dude, what if she sees the rap stuff, but like she's seeing all these tweets, I blocked her, like all this stuff, and I was just like, it was hard for me to relate to that, because like my mom has always been just kind of like, yeah, he's fucking that's Bill, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
right.
Like anytime now she jokes with me because she follows me, and so I'll say something like stupid, and then I'll like go see her, and then she'll say like, oh, so reference stupid thing, you know, like, so I heard that you were jacking off to Mario hentai again, you know, or something. You know?
Yeah, see, your content has become more cursed over time, but like when your mom was following you at first, I did feel like you were less unhinged than my Twitter handle, you know, like in the sense that you would post funny stuff and everything, but it felt level-headed, whereas mine in a vacuum just looks like someone who's insane, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah, but okay. Is someone real? Here's the real question. All right, and this is gonna is someone really insane if they have like a lot of like likes when they say things? Like, okay,
that's interesting.
Like, it's one thing. Okay. Obviously the answer is yes, but if, because it doesn't really matter, like obviously there's reasons why people click things, but I will say that I think your mom could see like, oh, this is the joke, like this is the joke that he's making, these are all jokes, and there are people who validate those jokes by liking it and sharing it and responding to it. And this is like how he's making money. Like, I think your mom's probably smart enough to be like, oh, like this isn't.
Oh yeah.
You know, like he's not fucking. He's not more crazy than I thought he was already. You know.
No, I can see that now. She's supportive, and you know, she'll, and the thing is, she has friends. This is weird. She has friends that were listening to my music and didn't even know I was her son. Isn't that wild?
That is weird.
And then found out that and they're like, oh, and so they informed my mom, like when we did the Worth music video, she messaged her the music video. And so my mom then texts me and says like, love the new music video. loving the Jesus pose that Bill did.
The Jesus pose. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's
So I was just, so
that
she's
is
very
weird. It's
supportive.
weirder that she has friends that listen to you or that know who you are through. Like, that's weird to me. That's way weirder than your mom
that is
finding your
strange.
Twitter.
That is strange. Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
if someone hit up of course I'm from like conservative South Carolina, so like then it's a problem. Like if it's like if someone's hitting my mom up with it, it's usually to be like, well, look, your son has lost his way on the path to Jesus or some bullshit, like,
Right.
like, okay, here's the thing that like really gets me is, okay, so on my dad's side of the family, no one is close, like really not very, we don't have like family reunions. We don't like go see each other. Like it's
Gotcha.
all of the on my dad's side, I don't really know them that well, Like I mean I know them, like I know like my
Right.
cousins and my like aunts and uncles and shit, but I don't know them, But then on my mom's side, everyone is like really, really Christian and not like scary Bible beater type, but they're just
Right.
like they're pretty, like if you were to come up to them and say like, yeah, I don't believe in Jesus, they might have like their judgments in their head, but they're not gonna like be like, well, you're going to hell, you know what I mean? But they're very
Keep
nice.
their
My
thoughts to
mom's side of the
themselves.
family is very, very nice. Okay. But they do not in any kind of way know what the fuck I do. Okay. And a few of
Right.
them do, like my cousins do, because like they're my age and they knew I rapped, and then like when I went full time they were like super fucking into that. They were like, dude, that's awesome, and like they're not even like really rap heads like that. They listen to like fucking metal and shit, but like they get it, and so, but like it's weird because like some of my older cousins, like they've definitely said stuff about me, because my mom said something to me one time, like they said something about like, oh, they feel like I was like lost, like I don't know what I'm doing with my life or something. And
When was this?
this is I don't know, like 2-3 years ago,
Okay.
which
yeah.
was very true, by the way, at that time period.
Right.
But like, so like every time we do like family reunion, we don't have like family reunions, but we have like a gathering. We do it like every Thanksgiving, and then like what's around Thanksgiving is like the big one, and then sometimes on Christmases we'll all like get together.
Gathering
They're
with the
from all over,
juggalos.
and there's so many of them, because like my mom, she was one of 5, But anyway, like,
Oh wow.
yeah, so they all multiplied. They did as the Bible said, and they were fruitful and be fruitful and multiplied. Okay, so there's like
Yeah.
a gajillion of these fucking people, right?
Yeah,
And they're
yeah,
all
yeah.
extremely nice. But then my mom, like, she pointed out, because I posted the video. I don't really post stuff to Facebook anymore unless it's like we did something cool, and I post it just so
Right.
like my IRL friends can see like, oh, like he's still doing that. You know what I mean? And that's kind of it. Like that's all I post.
Oh, because your IRL friends still sort of stay on Facebook over Twitter.
Well,
and
I don't
stuff,
even
right?
say like my IRL friends, like just people that I know in town, because like nobody I
Gotcha.
know, like I only know like a handful
Yeah.
of people. Like we're slow on the uptake here. It's a small town, and like everyone's like still on Facebook and like not on Twitter as much, not on Instagram as much, and
Yeah.
so I just want to like pop in and be like, hey guys, still alive, sometimes. And I posted the
Right,
video to for oh, by the way, we haven't talked about
Sun?
that. We have the video for New Sun that just dropped.
Oh shit! Yeah, we should talk about that.
Yeah. Here's my masterful segue that I'm going to ruin by talking about it. So I posted it on there, and then my mom pointed out, she was just like, "Oh yeah, I saw you were smoking a joint in one of those things."
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
And then my mom was like, I was like, yeah, I didn't edit it. Like what I said. I was like, yeah, I didn't edit it. And then she was just like, I mean, I don't care. She was like, you are exercising your right in the state of California to smoke marijuana because it was legal and such and such and such. She was like,
Yeah, of course.
she was just like totally understandable. She was just like, but one of your aunts, one of your uncles is going to see that, and they're going to have something to say about it.
Oh, did that end up being true?
No one said anything to me yet, but I'm sure that
Just
when I
tell
see
them like
them,
it was that. It's just like it's a hand-rolled cigarette.
no, I'm gonna. If they ask me, I'm just gonna say straight up, yeah, smoke the joint. Like I'm not. Like,
Just
what's
say
the
it's
point?
opium.
Yeah, dude, I've smoked crack. Is what I'll say.
Double down on them so that they don't ask any further questions. Where they're just like, oh, he's real confident about it. Now I'm worried to press him further.
Yeah, well, what he said, when they say like, "Hey, saw you were smoking a joint in that video." First of all, I don't know why they would actually say anything about it because that would be real weird. But
that would be kind of awkward. Yeah.
But yeah, like I wanted to say like, "Oh yeah, we cut out all the parts of me shooting up," you know.
Yeah,
but no,
yeah, that's good.
No, but the thing is like, I mean, I'm sure no one will really say anything. I'm sure they'll probably just like talk amongst themselves about it. But it's just kind of weird because it was like legal. It's like I wasn't even breaking the law or doing anything.
No, exactly. Yeah,
you know. So it's kind of like it was just funny. Like my mom said something about it, and I thought she was acting like she was like, "Oh, take it down," you know. And then I was just like. Because, you know, like, it wasn't really for, like, promotion. I just did it just so my friends could see it, you know? And...
Right, yeah.
But then and then I was like, well, I mean, I could take it down. Like, if you think I should take it down... And she was just like, no, like, just leave it up. It's okay. And then, like, I remember we were sitting there talking about it, and I was just like, fuck them. Like...
Yeah.
And she was just like, I mean, like, fuck up like that. Like, I love my family. They're really good people, but I just think it's funny.
No, but like, you also have to live for yourself and like stand by the decisions you made, because especially it wasn't an immoral act of some sort. It's like drinking alcohol in a country or state.
They would say something about me
drink.
putting alcohol in there too, though. Like, they would definitely be like the type of people that would be like somehow offended by that.
Well, then that's their prerogative to point it out, but you know, you don't live life based off of their moral code. You have a moral code that you've developed over time on your own, and you have to be your own man, and clearly you know what you're doing because you're making a living off of your art and what you love. So if anything, I think your head is screwed on better than arguably most people's are, you know?
Maybe you're right. I also think that it's not like we were like parading. It's not like I was just like smoke weed, although if you listen to most of my music, I do, you know, free your mind a little bit, you know, smoke a little ganj if you're of the legal age, you know. But
yeah, that's true. You are a cannabis ogre.
It's true. So that's a thing, you know. I'd say I'm a cannabis ogre. I haven't even smoked weed in like a while.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, it's just, you know what it really is? I think California fucking ruined me, bro. Like,
you think so?
Yeah, dude, because
it's just
like,
too good, right?
Well, not even just because it's good. Like, I mean, it's good. Yeah, like obviously it's nice, but it's just like, okay, every time I would go to a dispensary, I was like, wow, this is so nice. Be like, this is like going in, it's clean, the people are nice. Every fucking dispensary we went to, everybody was real chill, easy to talk to, you know. And it was like, oh, do you want this? Oh, do you want this pre-roll? Or like, do you like edibles?
Spoiled for choice.
Like all this stuff, right? And it's like, it's legal. There's a fucking cop outside and he says like, oh, have a nice day, while you walk off with fucking weed. You know?
Yeah.
And back here in South Carolina, it's like you go into the back of a Ruby Tuesdays and you say, hey, anybody got any weed? And then someone says like, yeah, dog, I got that pressure. And then they try to sell you fucking like dirt weed for $20 and they put it inside of a silicone little baggie that looks like shit, or like, you know what I'm talking about?
Plastic.
Yeah. And it's like, and you get it and it's like all discolored and stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, and I mean, obviously it was different. Like, well, first of all, it's cheaper to buy weed in California. I just spent money on, like, if you just buy flour, it's so much cheaper to buy. But like, we just kept buying pre-rolls, which are just more expensive because there's effort going into making them, you know. But
of course, yeah.
But yeah, dude, like I was just thinking, like, it sucks that it's not legal here, because it's actually like on one side of the country and in certain states that are near here, you can go and buy this and it's like a taxable good thing for the economy, and then you go here and it's like you have to like basically like I'm almost 30, like I don't want to get locked up for having a fucking like 3 grams on me.
I mean, I don't smoke here, for instance, you know, in the UK, not just because it's illegal, although of course that is a part that you have to keep in mind, but it's just because I don't want to buy it off of someone, a rando. You know?
That's the big thing for me.
And it's a rando, and even if it's a recommended rando by someone, you know, it's still a rando, and it's like I want my shit to be. I want to buy if I buy weed, I want to buy it the same way as I buy groceries. I kind of want to know where it comes from. I kind of want to be able to get some information. I want to have choices, you know, like different things to pick out from. And I don't know, it's just, you're right, that whole process of just like, okay, you come in, blah blah, all of this, as opposed to like in an alleyway, where it just feels shady, and you come out with shit weed, and it gives you a headache or something, you know, and it smells like piss. Like, you know, I don't know, it's just like I don't want to smoke it. So that's why I'm like, hey, if I'm in LA, I'll smoke it. If I'm here or most places, then I won't smoke it. I don't need it. I like it, but I don't need it. It's kind of like certain dessert that, like, anytime I'm in Italy, there's certain food that I eat almost exclusively in Italy, in my go-to places in Italy or France, because when I have them outside of Italy or France, they're just mid by comparison, just not worth it, you know, and overpriced. So,
have we ever talked about your first time smoking weed? Or my first time, or just our first time smoking weed at all on this podcast? I feel like we have.
If we have. I don't know if we have. For me, it was like I must have to have been like 13, I think, and it was over at a homie's apartment. Like his family was out of the country, so he threw like a little home party kind of thing, and a bunch of people, and some kids were older, and someone brought some weed, and I didn't really understand. I honestly thought weed and pot were 2 different things.
They're not?
They are, dude. But like back then, I genuinely didn't, and you know why? This is gonna sound so stupid, man. So I remember I smoked it, and I was like, "What is this? It's pot," and I was really worried that it was something serious, because I thought pot was more serious than weed, even though it is weed. But it all stemmed from those fucking, when the iPod came out. I don't know if you remember their marketing campaign. It was like this one like color, let's say like red, and then there'd be like a human being, like a figure of a person doing something, like listening to an iPhone, a silhouette. And it'd be like a silhouette in a different tone, right? Or it's maybe the same color but different tone, and they do like different ones. And then there are a bunch of, I guess, pre-meme memes that came out. Remember like iPod and stuff like that, and like I this, I that, and there were like different ones for drugs. And so I thought iPod, the way they made it look, it seemed, for some reason to me, that picture seemed more serious than iWeed, which I think was a thing, which now thinking about it sounds fucking stupid. Yeah. Right? And so I assumed it was something really serious. We smoked it. I think I smoked it out of peer pressure, kind of. Mm-hmm. And I choked a lot. I was coughing a lot. And I was like, Jesus, this shit is, whatever it is, it's fucking serious. I need to stop. And then I slept like so well. I fell asleep like half an hour later, and I stayed asleep for like 3 hours. So that was my first weed experience. What about you?
Damn. Okay, so I'm gonna tell 2 stories, because I had the first time I smoked, which I didn't get high, and then the second time I smoked, which I did get high. So the first time I smoked was with one of my old roommates, but we weren't roommates at the time. This is kind of like when we first met, and I went to Myrtle Beach to stay with some friends, like that I met at Francis Marion when I was going to college there, and so I'm in Myrtle Beach, like one of my friends had his like grandparents owned a beach house, and then his grandparents like went out of town, and then they were like, oh yeah, you can have some friends over. So then he like invited like 10 people. Okay. And I was one of those people. I go, and it was a lot of fun. Like, honestly, like I never really drank or like partied that much in high school. You know, I think the first time I drank till I got drunk, I was like 17. And then like I never smoked weed. Obviously, like this is like I was like just turning 19 when this all was happening, you know? And so like I felt kind of like I never did anything in high school, so I was like, fuck it, like, you know what, I just want to try it. Like I just want to try smoking. And my friend, like, he always said like, yo, hit this joint, and I never did. I was always like, nah, like, you know, I just never had that itch to do anything like that, party at all, you know. And then we were playing Metal Gear Solid 4, I remember that. And then the dude was like, amazing game. And he was like, hey man, I got this bong with me. I got this weed. Let's smoke. You know, he was basically saying, I'm going to go smoke. Who's coming with me? And then like nobody there was really potheads. And so I was like, fuck it, I'll go, you know? So I go out there. And then like, okay, first he was like, just take little hits. Cause I was nervous. Like I was like afraid. I was like, what is this going to do to me? Cause I had a friend who like he smoked, and I don't think he actually smoked, but like when he was like 14, he was like, yeah, I smoked weed one time. And dude, it was like, I was hallucinating and I saw like everything was floating and like, it's basically bullshit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I was thinking like it was way more serious than it was, you know? And
yeah.
So I was like, yeah, dude, let's try it, you know? And then he's like, well, just if you're nervous, just take a little hit. And so I take a little hit. And then like, I was afraid that I wasn't inhaling right, you know, which I was, like, I actually was. And so then he was just like, yeah, just like inhale through your mouth, exhale, you know, like hold it and exhale, you know? And so I took another hit. And obviously I just want to point out this shit was like shake. Like it looked like super ground up bud. You know, like out of the bag. And so he takes a hit, then he gives it back over to me, and then I take another hit, and then he's just like, dude, like, are you high? Because like I'm feeling kind of high. And I'm like, nah, like not at all. He's like, okay, well just take like a huge hit, like just as big as you can. And then he basically like he packed me a bowl, and I just like cashed the whole bowl in one hit, and I like coughed so hard I felt like I was gonna throw up. You know what I mean? Like when you take a huge hit and you feel like you're gonna die. Bongs do that to me. I don't know why people even smoke bongs because I always feel like I'm gonna die. And
it's harsh, yeah.
So like, okay, and I'm sitting there like my eyes are like super red, but it's not from the weed. It's just like me like being doubled over, like like feeling like I was gonna die. And then like after I calmed down, stopped coughing and stuff, he looks over at me and he's just like, yo, dude, I can see your eyes are real red. How you feeling? You feeling good? And I was just like, I feel sick. Like I feel like I just like like I was just gross. I felt gross, but I didn't feel high at all. It's just like I smoked and nothing happened, but I was just coughing a lot, you know? And he was like, oh, okay, weird. Okay. So then like that experience led me to think that weed was super duper not serious at all. Like in terms of like, you can just smoke, and it doesn't really do anything. I thought it was some shit where it's like high just meant relaxed at that point. Okay.
Yeah.
So like fast forward like 6 months, my boy, he gets some weed from one of our friends that we went to high school with, and he's just like, yo, dude, we got to smoke together, you know? And his parents went to sleep, and he had like a pool outside. You've been to this person's house. He had a pool outside.
Yeah.
And so we're like all chilling out by the pool, and we had like a good reason to be out there because it's like, oh, it's the pool, like, you know, it's summertime, pool, fun time, you know? And it's like 3 a.m. Okay. And his dad is asleep, and he had this bong that he made out of like a Dr. Pepper bottle that his friend made. Okay. It looked like real jank, but it smoked, you know? And so we took the Dr. Pepper bottle. I had like a little piece of like almost like PVC pipe or something like put into it that you could smoke the weed out of, and it had like a fucking little it looked like a socket or something on the top of it, like something metal. And so I'm like, she's like, yeah, you ever smoked before? I was like, yeah, man. I didn't really get high, you know. I just thought it was kind of like it was overrated. So I'm going into it like I'm just gonna fucking hit this shit like over and over and over and over again, you know, because I'm like, my body is just impervious to weed apparently. So I take like 5 just monster rips out of this Dr. Pepper bong. And then we're sitting there, and I was like feeling pretty like just relaxed and just like, oh yeah, it's chill. I wasn't even like thinking like, oh, I'm about to get high, you know. And then he's like looking up at the sky, and he's just like, yo, man, it just keeps going. And I'm just like, what? And I like look up, he's like, space, man, it just keeps going. And then it was like, you know that meme where it's Elon Musk smoking the weed, and it's got location by Playboy Carti, and like it comes on, like the beat comes on. Like I had that like location by Playboy Carti coming on moment. And then it was like my soul left my body. I was so fucked up, bro. Like
was it weird for you to like, fuck, this is what I was supposed to feel like?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It freaked me out a little, but I was trying not to let it freak me out. But I was paranoid because I felt like until we get up to his room, because he was upstairs, he had 2 like twin beds, you know, until we get up to the room, then I can't like really relax, you know. And he didn't give a fuck. Like he was just like, yeah, dude. And he like jumped in the pool and all this stuff, and I was like, bro, we got to go inside, man. Like we're like you're making me nervous, you know. And so he was like, okay, well, like no one's awake, but you know, so he gets out and drives out. He's like, no one's awake, but just in case they are, like take this bong and put it underneath like your shirt, and then like carry this this like, he had like a yearbook that we were looking at like from our senior year, and he was like, put it over it, you know, and just like walk and just try to like act natural, you know. He's basically like, I'm the bong mule, you know. And so like we get up, we leave, and we go inside, and like as I'm walking in, I look up and I see his dad is just like sitting at the table. And I'm thinking, fuck, I'm gonna have to talk to him. And I'm in like level 9 space, like I'm deep space 9 high. Okay. You know that time, like it's different. Like when you smoke weed the first time, you're probably not gonna get that high again ever, you know, like that kind of like boom high, you know. And so I walk in there, and then like my friend was real smart. He was just like, oh, hey, Dad. Bye, Dad. And his dad, like, he got a call because he was always on call late at night. I can't say what he does for a living, but he does something where he has to be on call. And so then I come in there, and then my dumb ass is just like, hey, what's up? And then like I initiate conversation while I have like I'm holding this yearbook like real weird over, you know what I mean? It looks super sus, you know. And then he was just like, oh, hey there, what are you boys doing? And I was just like, you know, just chilling. And it was real awkward, like we're just kind of looking at each other real weird. And I think I was making it weirder than it was, you know. And then like I was like, okay, well, good night. And I remember like I tried to like, I nodded at him, but it was like I couldn't feel like I could control my face all the way. I was that high, like I couldn't, like I wasn't like aware of what my face looked like. And I remember like after the fact, I saw like my tongue was like doing this weird like it was I'd have to show you what it looked like, what the face I was making, but it looked stupid. Like it looked really fucking dumb. Okay. And then he was just like, oh, okay, you have a nice night. And then I went upstairs, you know. And so we shut the door to his room, and like I go to jump in one of the beds, but as I do it, like as soon as we shut the door, I was like, fuck yes, we made it. Like that. He was like, shut the fuck up. Like, what do you, like, you know, I was like, oh, sorry. And we watched Scarface. Which was a real spiritual experience. I love that movie. Like, I love Scarface. Like, I can watch Scarface like anytime. I love the feeling it gives me. And it was like the best movie to watch while you're like really stoned. And so, that was it. That was the first time I got high.
I think I remember you telling me this. Yeah, that sounds cool. I was going to follow up with, in terms of your earliest weed consuming or weed smoking memories, what was the kind of music that you'd listen to? Because for me, I was 13, and the music I would listen to when, like, it's thinking of weed, or like when I had my first weed experience and everything, I would turn to like Hits from the Bong by Cypress Hill. And I would turn to like How to Roll a Blunt by Redman.
Yeah,
you know?
the like stereotypical stoner hop type stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I was.
What did you kind of go to?
Mine was a lot different because it was so much later.
That's true.
I think that I actually maintain that I started smoking weed at like the best time to start smoking weed, because like Kid Cudi was popular, and a Kush and Orange Juice had just dropped. And so I just listened to like nothing but Kid Cudi and Kush and Orange Juice by Wiz Khalifa, and I listened to that. Was like a good time for like rap music in general. I feel like, like the late 2009, 2010, like when you had like mixtapes, you had those kind of like. I was really into the whole like. I want to say like blog rap, but it wasn't even that. It was like blog rap, but it was stoner, like that stoner blog rap, like crossover. You know what I'm talking about? Like it would be like before,
right? For sure. Yeah.
Before that, I feel like stoner rap had this kind of, I want to say gross, but like it reminded me of being in like a Spencer's, like a, I don't know if you know what that is, but like a Spencer's, and you go by, okay, you know what I'm talking about. Like you go into a Spencer's in the mall and you see like a bunch of like Bob Marley posters, and it's him like really badly photoshopped and him smoking weed. Like that's kind of like the imagery that I get from a lot of like, I know it's like dumb because it's not really that, but a lot of early stoner rap stuff makes me think of that, because I think those are the type of people that would listen to it, is the people that have that on their wall. Okay, so it's like that, but then like the type of music that it was always super clean looking, like Kush and Orange Juice looked clean and looked like oh, like he's got his life together, and it's not just like a slacker
everything
stoner.
Was a little more sanitized in a way where you didn't feel like, oh, these are like some that's interesting, because I started smoking way earlier than you, and the music I listened to obviously predated Kush and Orange Juice era of music. To me, I thought of it as like a very, very sunny, hot summer's day, and you're outside. That's the kind of vibes I got from even songs like Hits from the Bong. I would just imagine like just a really hot like day outside, and it's super sunny, and you got your shades on, and you're just chilling and kind of like sweating under the sun a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
But I see it was definitely not this like, oh yeah, super clean, sanitized look that I honestly think Wiz Khalifa definitely played a huge part in that. I mean, obviously Snoop Dogg was already, you could argue, what had been doing that for years. I mean, especially with that, what was that album called? Fuck, like Pharrell was all over that album.
The one with
like Drop It Like It's Hot, and
it was like the blue carpet treatment. Is that it, or something like that? No.
Yeah.
Was it Rhythm and Gangsta?
No, it's before that one. Rhythm and Gangsta. Can I get more thrills? You know you want some more, girl.
Yeah,
I love that song.
Yeah, that's
so
a good
like
album.
That kind of album, it had that chic and clean kind of like, if I thought of the idea of Pharrell smoking, I didn't think of him like oversized baggy pants and hoodie and like a beanie over his face. I never imagined anything like that. So I think that was reassuring, having people like Snoop and Pharrell at the forefront of a lot of that stuff.
I think the big attitude shift is like when you look at like people like Red and Meth, like they were basically like modern day Cheech and Chong. You know, it was kind of comedic and cartoonish, and it's like, yes, I smoke weed, that's what I do. You know, like, it's like How High, that's like the whole movie is basically like.
But also Redman had like this kind of, you know, coming from New Jersey, he had like this rugged look that he would, in terms of like the clothing, his MTV Cribs episode and everything. We all loved Red, but we all thought of him as like, oh, this fucking Brick City rugged ass dude. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't feel like, oh yes, this is like, I could never imagine Redman in a suit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And then like the juxtaposition of that, like, isn't Wiz wearing, what is Wiz wearing on the
Wiz is photoshopped. His head is photoshopped on top of an existing photo. Like, it's not an actual photo of Wiz. It's a Photoshop of his head on top of like a pre-existing image.
What is the image though? Is he wearing a suit? Am I remembering
yes.
wrong?
No, the dude in the image has got a suit on. That's why if you look at the picture really closely, it's weird because Wiz's head proportionally doesn't really make much sense. It's huge. His head is real huge in that picture. It's because I think whoever did the Photoshop maybe struggled with like removing the other head, because it was already like, it's one of those images that's pretty stylistic and already has filters on it, or some sort of grading, I guess. But yeah, that sense of the suit was like a part of it, but also like Wiz just sounded kind of like, he's not like, hey, not that Meth and Red sounded like, hey, let's smoke pot.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
They didn't, but Wiz would have like these, like, it was these airy, spacey production. You'd hear like Chrono Trigger samples, and it'd be so airy and spacey, and the mixing with his vocals was so perfect, and it seemed like, oh, he's not trying to sell me on any idea. He's just chilling.
Yeah.
He's just chilling, and it sounds like because the clean sound and the clean presentation of the whole thing, you didn't think of it as you said, like somebody like, I don't know, maybe a lot of the preconceived notions about you didn't think like, oh, he's rapping about this with like a Bob Marley poster over his head.
Yeah. I think that was the turning point for me, and I still really like that imagery of like, I think,
of course.
I think the for me, like, I like the idea of like smoking in an area that's like clean and neat and like has this like, okay,
because you don't want to have anxiety, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But like, one of the things is like one of my favorite things I used to do, which this goes back to what we were talking about with like ASMR videos and stuff like that. I kind of forgot about this, but there was a time period when I was smoking a lot, that when I was smoking, and if I was smoking by myself, I would watch like smoke sesh videos on YouTube, which, like, in retrospect, was actually kind of cool because, well, one, I got introduced like through a lot of music through that, because it'd be like people who like would always be playing dope music in the background. I think this is kind of like before YouTube's copyright was as strict as it was, so everyone kind of just used shit a little bit more willy-nilly. But like, I used to watch like videos of someone, and they have like the really dope like a backwoods rolling tray, and it would be super clean, and they'd be like, how to roll a backwoods, and they would just fucking roll their shit and then like smoke it, and it always just looked like, wow, like I want to be in that room, you know. And
also remember, Wiz Khalifa kind of had like around Kush and Orange Juice, and right afterwards he started putting out like a lot of music videos. Like, it was like, almost every song that he put out would have a music video, because he had a homie with a DSLR camera, I guess, right? And it's like, and that DSLR look was still kind of new. Like, you know, now it's aged in a very strange way. Like, if you go back and you watch Wonton Sue by Lil B, that video probably looks bad now, right?
Yeah.
But back then, when it first came out, I thought it was amazing. Like, how he was so sharply in focus and everything else was bokeh'd out. And it was just like, there was something interesting about it. And it was like, it was that moment, I think, in hip-hop when we transitioned from Hype Williams types of music videos to more DIY music videos, but through that DSLR lenses and shit, right? That just made everything still look pretty good. And Wiz Khalifa was just like knocking it at like one song after the other. And people don't remember this. I remember this was such a strange time. Wiz Khalifa is now such a huge name, but at one point you have to think. One point he was like the super underground rapper.
Yeah.
You know, he was on like. He was like in Japan at one point. He was on albums of people who were students of Nujabes, you know?
Yeah,
like
that's crazy.
He's tied to that. If you go back and you look into that, it's all really weird how it ties into it. And he was this rapper, signed a terrible deal with Columbia, I think, or something. They made him a terrible music video. Go check out his first record label music video. It's horrendous, and the song is bad. And it was such a deviation from his own normal style. But then he started kind of doing his own thing again once I guess he fulfilled the terms of his deal.
Yeah.
And then this was around the time when Tyga was coming to sort of the forefront of underground West Coast hip hop, right? Mm-hmm. And because Tyga was also once an underground rapper, and a lot of people were making the comparisons of Tyga and Wiz Khalifa, and it just goes to show you how times have changed because they had so many body tats. This was like, that was new for people outside of Lil Wayne. We didn't really see people have that many tattoos, and Wiz and Tyga both had way more body tattoos than Lil Wayne, right?
Yeah.
And so people compared the two of them for the short hair and tattoos all over their bodies. And now you look left and right, everybody's got tattoos all over their bodies. You know, blue face, and the face tats became a new thing. And now even that's kind of become played out because everybody's got face tats. Well, but I digress. Like I remember he used to do streams. I think it was on Ustream. Wiz Khalifa would like hop on after he recorded a song, or like right before recording a song, and he'd like have a few hundred people, or sometimes I think later on maybe like 1,000 or something. But it usually be a few hundred people, and he'd be talking and just answering questions, and he'd just be like sitting there in the studio in the corner while his engineer was mixing in the background. He's like, what's happening? And then I remember somebody said, what do you think about Tyga? He's like, Tyga is my son. And then Tyga was in the chat.
Wow.
And he says, hey, what's up? And he was like, hey, what it do? I remember like, oh shit, beef is gonna start. And then Wiz Khalifa was really smart with YouTube. You know, he started the day-to-day series where he'd have like he'd be putting out these pretty frequent videos of like, honestly, it's hip-hop vlogging. That's what it was. It's a hip-hop vlog where he's just going around, records a song, goes around, does a show, smokes, jokes around with friends, meets other rappers, etc. And it like, as the seasons went on, as the years went on, the production quality got better and better, and those shows got more packed out. And yeah, it was really fun watching him get to that place where now he's a pop star. He's a pop star, right? And nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, it's crazy to see him go from, like, you know, seemingly like this underground hip-hop entity to, like, being this household name.
Yeah, dude. I remember,
very impressive.
That's what's really weird is I remember first hearing Kush and OJ, and I downloaded it because I just downloaded mixtapes like crazy off of Dat Piff.
Yeah. You know? You and I used to talk back then. It was both your and my favorite mixtape at the time.
Yeah. And it's still one of my favorite smoking tapes. And like, so I interacted with one of his producers a few times, Johnny Giuliano. Like,
that's right.
And I remember I looked up to that dude so much. Like, I was so into his fucking Giuliano.com. Yeah. I was so into, and a lot of people said that I looked like him, which, I mean, obviously it's just, we're just kind of like, I mean, like, we're just like white dudes with chin strap beards. You know what I mean? Like,
and hats. Yeah.
I really don't look like him. Like, if you took his face and my face, we really don't look alike. But
no, not at all.
I remember, like, I was so into, and he was kind of into that. Like, he had produced a lot for him. Like, apparently, like, when he was recording, like, with ID Labs and stuff, he was, like, living at that studio at the time and all this stuff. And so, like, I was so big on SoundClick, like, so big into SoundClick, that scene of producers and stuff, and I was selling beats on SoundClick at the time. I was like, that got me further into it because I was like, well, this dude, like, he knows who I am. Like, we interacted on the forums a few times. Yeah, he's got all these dope placements. And then, like, at that time, he actually has, like, a hook on, I think it's Pedal to the Metal. It's him and Superstar O made that beat for Wiz. But, I mean, he also did, he produced, like, Say Yeah for Wiz and, like, a bunch of the earlier stuff. And then I found Show and Prove, which is, like, I mean, it's still, I think, it's got some joints on it. But that was, like, when Wiz was, like, rapidy rapping. Like, almost like some Dipset style rapping, like, really big multis.
Definitely.
That type of rapping, and I was like, that gave me kind of like a newfound respect because I was like, okay, obviously he knows how to like really rap, but he's like trying to do something stylistically different from that, you know?
Right, yeah, it's a decision.
And I think that's actually like a pretty, like, it's weird to listen to now because it's like, okay, he was clearly rapping a certain way, and then he just completely shed that, you know, to do something completely like 180 different. But that's cool though. Like, he didn't, like, it worked out for him. But man, like, I was so hype on that, and I was like, just when I first started smoking weed, and it's just good memories all around. But that was like kind of when we first started like really talking around that time.
That's right. That's when we started bonding over, like, nerding out over like new hip hop stuff. I think because both you and I never realized this until now. It's interesting. Both you and I were really hip hop nerds in the sense that, as I was just telling you everything about Wiz Khalifa now, I just realized, like, damn, I'm a nerd. Like, I really, I probably know a little too much about this stuff, more than the casual listener. And I just remember that you and me were hip hop nerds in the sense that we respected. You and I were never like, this is the best era, or that is the best era, you know?
Yeah.
We were always such hip-hop nerds in the sense, like, we found gold in every hip-hop era. And the circles we were in at the time, and I may be, like, wrong, but the impression I got was, okay, my circle were super pro, like, early G-Unit era, you know? And, like, Dipset era, and, like, where it's just, like, that was it. That was the end all be all. And for your crew, at least from where I was standing, it seemed like, oh, okay, Wu-Tang is like, and Nas, that's it. That's all that mattered, right?
Yeah.
At least for a lot of the people within your circle. But you and me, we loved all those things, and we were excited about Charles Hamilton, Kid Cudi, Wiz Khalifa, like a lot of these at the time up and coming acts that were bringing like so much new interesting shit to the table. And in my circle, at least, there was a lot of pushback against like anything new. It was almost kind of like, yeah, but it's not 50 though, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, it's cool, but it's not fifth. Or it's like, oh, that's cool, but it's not that, or this or that. It's kind of like they found what they like, and that was it. And I just constantly keep falling in love with hip hop. It's like my relationship with hip hop is like my relationship with my girl. I wake up and look at her, and every day I realize I love her more, and she's more beautiful to me every day. And to me, hip hop is the same way. I don't always see eye to eye with all the directions or everyone within hip hop. You know, I don't have to love a Little Xan to love hip hop. And I think that's where maybe we bonded, because I think we were so excited about the new music in the late 2000s and early 2010s.
Yeah.
I think we bonded a lot over that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's actually kind of an interesting thing that you brought up, because like I remember people would always kind of, okay, I was really into like I would say conscious rap, but like basically rappers who just be I like saying rapidy rap better than conscious rap. Like I hate the term conscious rap, but like rapidy rappers, like East Coast dudes. I was a little bit later on West Coast. I feel like I was like all my people were like really East Coast people.
Oh, really?
But yeah. Like I mean, like I like Tupac and stuff, but then like I didn't like appreciate like Ice Cube until like later in life. Yeah, well, it was none of my friends really listened to Cube. Like I listened to some.
I feel that exactly. You know? Yeah.
And
I mean, honestly, I got into the East Coast things too. Like a homie who gave me a bunch of Gangstar albums, and that's how I fell in love with the East Coast. I'm like, Gangstar was one of my main introductions. Outside of, obviously, Tribe Called Quest was New York and Nas was New York, but I never really thought of it as like coast kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I became a huge fan of NWA and Ice Cube. But we'll talk about that in a moment because I want to talk about Ice Cube in a second. But
Yeah. But I was but I also was like, I was trying to rap like a certain way, but I was really into like East Coast stuff. But I also really liked like Dirty South,
Paul Wall.
Yeah, Paul Wall and like Slim Thug and fucking like Jeezy and like all these people who are like
Mike Jones.
Yeah, Mike Jones, like all these people who are like way different. And I think that was kind of like an inconsistency, and like I think people wanted to typecast like listeners as like rap listeners. It's like, okay, you listen to this and this is what you're about. Like, you're about East Coast, you rap East Coast, and so you are East Coast. Or like, oh, you're West Coast, so like,
it's
obviously
funny.
It's weird. It was way different back then. And I remember like people being like, why do you listen to this when you listen to this? It's so weird to think about now, because now it's just like you have a diverse music taste and it's normal.
But yeah, exactly. Like, look at Waka Flocka. People forget that dude was born in New York. But people also don't know the fact that his favorite rapper of all time is Nas. That's why Waka Flocka says he's bad at rapping. He says, yeah, I'm trash. My favorite rapper is Nas. How do you think I could be confident about my rapping, or something along those lines? He's a pretty humble dude.
Well, yeah, exactly. Oh, but talented. It's funny that you bring up Waka Flocka too, because I remember being like, okay, like all my friends hated Waka when he first came out.
And Gucci, right?
And Gucci, and like all these people who are like just kind of on the come up in Atlanta. And I remember being like, oh yeah, like fuck those guys, but I like low key liked their music. And I remember like at the time,
for sure.
Yeah, at the time I was like, I was honestly, the biggest one for me was OJ the Juice Man. Like, I loved OJ the Juice Man.
Yeah.
And all my friends like made fun of OJ the Juice Man all the time. And because he had that ad lib that like, oh, okay, that shit, which at the time nobody was doing.
All my
shit
friends were making fun of Gucci, and for the same reason, I was like, I had to hide the fact that I appreciated a lot of his music.
I feel like at the time I appreciate Gucci. Like, I wasn't really as into Gucci as I was Waka and OJ.
Same.
Now I can go back and listen to it, and like I like it a lot more. But I don't know, for whatever reason, I was kind of like more into Waka and OJ, and especially OJ with those ad libs. And I remember like at first, because like when I first heard it, I thought it was funny. Like, I was just like, yeah, like, why is he doing this ad lib? And now I just like listen to it, I'm like, that shit's hard. Like, I'm like, it sounds hard to me. There's nothing funny about it. Like, not even sorta. Maybe it's just because I'm conditioned, because now rap has become like more weird, or like open about being weird and accepting. I feel like
it's more diverse.
Yeah. And so now, like, when I hear that, I'm like, what? There's no part of that where I'm like, this is funny. Like, but at the time, I remember being like, yeah, man, fuck Waka, fuck OJ, and like all these dudes, and like, but I was like low key like really into their shit, and now I feel silly for being like. Like, it feels like a fucking poser. Like, I was like, yeah, fuck those guys.
It's because, you know, we're peer pressure is a real thing. You know, I don't think many people can go out there and say like, oh yeah, the thoughts and opinions of my peers never affected my judgment. You know, if that were true, then you wouldn't wear similar things to them, or you wouldn't listen to similar music, or some people are less susceptible or more susceptible, and it is what it is. We're products of our upbringing. And so, of course, if all of your whole crew is laughing, making fun of Gucci or OJ the Juice Man, then like it's kind of difficult to be like, nah, y'all, fuck that. Especially when you're young. Now, if like when we're older, we have a greater sense of who we are, our identity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Back then, it's understandable. I don't think it makes you necessarily a poser. It just makes you a kid, you know?
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Of course. So it's just funny. It's just funny how like as you grow up, the things that you care about. Well, I'd say the things you care about shift, but also like society shifts. Like, there's been such a big societal shift in terms of like how like music is consumed. And the way
art in general,
like art is consumed, and like people's attitudes towards it have changed a lot. I feel like, Maybe I was. Maybe it's also the people you're hanging around, because like I feel like I don't really hang around a lot of the people that I did.
No.
When I was younger.
And now looking back, it's crazy because like a lot of them are hella bigoted, and it's like, damn, they're still bigoted. Like, what the fuck? Like, some of them never grew out of it.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. They're products of their environment. You know,
Yeah,
and we make the decisions to hang out with who we hang out with. But I wanted to actually briefly talk about Ice Cube.
Let's talk about Ice Cube.
Growing up, Ice Cube was one of my favorite rappers. For a long time, he was like my favorite rapper. There was like a period of years. It's kind of, it jumped between, I think it started with Q-Tip, then it was Nas. And then it was like a bunch of different rappers. It would be like Redman, and there'd be like Eminem, and then it'd be like Ghostface Killah, and then like at some point it became Ice Cube, and it stayed Ice Cube for like years.
Yeah.
And to this day, I feel like it's really hard for me to. I always feel bad whenever people ask me for my top 5 in that moment, and if I exclude Ice Cube, I feel bad, because it's like he's so important, and I think ultimately I would side him, because for a long time I was like, oh, you know, a lot of people say, oh, this aggressive stuff I do, and a lot of people draw like an Eminem comparison whenever I do a more aggressive-ish kind of stuff. And I used to tell myself like, well, I don't know, like I was like LL Cool J like makes more sense to me, because like that's where I think I picked it up from initially.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, maybe it's this and maybe that. But then I kind of realized, no, it's Ice Cube. It's just I don't sound like him because I don't have the vocal register, and I don't have the same subject matter. But his energy and just like lyrical focus was so impressive to me, and he's forever just like one of the greatest of all time. And for those who aren't very familiar with his catalog, his first 3 albums are all incredible. You know, it's very rare for a person to have 3 great albums, period, in their entire careers. His first 3 albums were just flawless.
Yeah, it was just like a bam, bam, bam. They're great.
Yeah, people to this day argue, like, which one's your favorite? Like, is it America's Most Wanted? Is it Death Certificate? Is it Predator? For me, it's Predator.
I like Predator a lot, too.
That's the one that was my favorite, just because it had like it had the When Will They Shoot Me. It's called When Will They Shoot, but in the hook it's When Will They Shoot Me. That like as soon as the album starts, it just kind of kicks into that, and just like walking in my big black boots. You know, it's just like that sample and everything, and the drums are crazy. But then fucking my favorite song off of that, and probably my favorite Ice Cube song ever, is Now I Gotta Wet Ya. Like, y'all gotta go and peep that. Now I gotta wet ya.
Yeah, it's just hard.
Now I gotta wet ya.
Hard.
I'm coming to get ya.
I actually got way more into Ice Cube. Okay, like I liked Ice Cube a lot. I went. My big thing was like San Andreas. Like when GTA San Andreas came out. Like that was like when I was like, oh yeah, Ice Cube. I was like really like fuck yeah, you know. But
yeah,
I never like went out and bought an Ice Cube album. It was always just like, yeah, he's fucking cool. I like him. Like that was kind of it. Like I only do like 3 songs, you know. But I was anytime anyone asked, I'd be like, yeah, he's so dope, you know. And then like then there was like this time period where I just kind of like stopped listening. Like I just didn't listen to him. I don't know why. It was just kind of like I just wasn't into that. I mean, not that I wasn't into it. I just was like kind of like I didn't know about it, if that makes any sense. Like I never like delved deeper. And then like I really like when I got Spotify for the first time, like 'cause someone like I think maybe Joe gave me Spotify for like a month or something, like bought me a month of Spotify. No, it wasn't. No, it was like $3 for like 3 months of Spotify. It was like a sale that they were doing. Deal. Yeah, it's a really good deal. And so I was like, oh, fuck. And that's how they got me. Like, they were like, oh, shit. And I realized, like, oh, I can't live my life without Spotify now. So then I was like, oh, shit, I can listen to anything. And so what I would do, and I still do this, is I kind of like pick an era, a sound, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm just going to listen to a bunch of stuff from this era, almost like a history lesson. And then, like, I listen to, like, a lot of the NWA stuff, like the majority of it. Then I, like, listen to Ice Cube. And then I was like, holy motherfuck, this aged so well. Like, it's all of it is so good. Like, you can just put it on and it sounds like, I mean, it sounds like of the time, but also
for sure,
it doesn't sound like dated or weird to me, like, at all. And
no, to me, it's still crazy how Ice Cube to this day, like 1992 Ice Cube, is still as edgy as anything that could come out now. Because, you know, like, you had groups like Public Enemy, which, again, legendary group. And they definitely had, there was a crossover, I think, with Ice Cube and Public Enemy in terms of, you know, sometimes the production, but also the subject matter. But the way they tackled it, it's like Ice Cube was just like, no filter, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's why he got into trouble after, like, his first two albums, you know, he was accused of anti-Semitism. And on Predator, he addressed it when he said, like, white man is something I try to study, but I got my hands bloody. Yeah, they said I can sing like a jaybird, but N-word, don't say the J word. I thought they was bugging, cause to us, Uncle Sam is Hitler without an oven, burning our black skin, bomb a neighborhood, then push the crack in. That's just crazy to this day. That's like, it's just like no filter. And he was saying what had to be said. Nobody was saying it like that. Like I think, a lot of people approach, you know what? JPEG Mafia reminds me of Ice Cube. Like if in terms of modern day, like our contemporaries.
Yeah. Oh, he
JPEG
actually
Mafia reminds me of that.
There's an interview, I don't know if you saw, but there's an interview recently where they asked him what his favorite Ice Cube album was.
And really?
Yeah. And he's like a huge Ice Cube fan. So that really makes sense. It actually does make a lot of sense.
That totally makes sense, right? Because it's the way that JPEG Mafia like tackles subject, like clearly tries to suss out certain audiences and everything, and the way that he's unabashedly, like, you know, proud of who he is and doesn't tolerate any bullshit and everything is kind of like, is I think what was so infectious, part of the reason why Ice Cube was such a just, it was impossible not to listen to Ice Cube. And all the best NWA verses, in my opinion, no disrespect to anybody else on NWA, but Ice Cube was always the highlight verse for me on every NWA song.
Yeah.
You know, he had the most powerful voice, and whenever a Dr. Dre verse slapped, you knew Ice Cube wrote it anyway. And he wrote all the Eazy-E's best verses too, in terms of best, like, NWA verses. Because honestly, Eazy-E, I don't know what happened, but Eazy-E got real good when NWA sort of fell apart. Like, all of a sudden, Eazy-E learned how to rap.
I don't know. He probably, I feel like he kind of came into his, I feel like maybe he came into his own a bit at that point.
That's
like,
true.
I don't know what he was, I know that, like, that was kind of like, that was when he was doing, like, he was working with, like, Bone Thugs, like, trying to put Bone Thugs on and stuff,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. He discovered Bone Thugs, and didn't he discover fucking will.i.am?
You know, I think he did. Like, I'm pretty sure he did.
Isn't that nuts? Like, that he discovered will.i.am. Actually, he discovered Black Eyed Peas, because it was, like, already 2 or 3 of them at that point.
Yeah.
Eazy-E discovered Bone Thugs and Harmony, which you could argue has been, their influence still spans today's music. When you listen to people like Freddie Dredd, and obviously there it is a, you know, 3 6 Mafia influence there too, obviously. But I think you can't, when you talk about that genre of music, you cannot not talk about Bone Thugs' influence.
I mean, I think just because Bone Thugs wasn't the first, okay, I say the first people to be doing something like that, I think that they definitely took something that existed and made it very much like them. You know what I mean? Like, like they kind of took like what fucking like Lord Infamous was doing. I don't know if they know Lord Infamous or I feel like they had to be.
I would be surprised if they wouldn't, right? Because there's so much crossover sonically.
Like, yeah, they'd have to be somewhat aware, but it's like they took it and made it more melodic, and it worked really well. And that whole style and everything. Like the thing that sold me on Bone Thugs is the aesthetic. Like the sound,
the aesthetic.
The whole, like, it
The
makes me feel, I don't know if you've
harmonics.
ever watched, like, this is really old, like, shock fake documentary called Faces of Death. I don't know if you ever watched that, but
That sounds familiar.
it's if you want the same feeling as, it's literally supposed to be like, it was something that was made. I remember seeing it in, like, I'm talking about made, like it was made by an actual company and put out. I remember seeing it in a fucking Blockbuster one time when I was really young. And I was like, what is that? You know, and it's literally marketed as this like weird, like gonzo journalism type thing. But it's
that's
like,
cool.
but it's like people
Contrived
dying, like people dying or things dying.
wow.
Like, and it's supposed to, and half of the stuff is fake. And then half of the stuff is like medical stuff, you know? And I remember like first watching it when I was like, I don't know, like 20. And I remember like just getting really fucking baked and watching it. And it gives me the
what the
exact
fuck?
same feeling. Like the exact same feeling as like listening to Bone Thugs. And
Yeah. Okay,
it's
that's
really
really cool.
interesting though. What's interesting is that like that sound is so prevalent now. And that whole aesthetic, like that whole horror movie, old grainy aesthetic is like so in now. And like also that was like arguably spread through Bone Thugs, which comes from Eazy-E, but then also like Black Eyed Peas is like one of the biggest bands that's like ever existed.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
also
That's
through
why it's
Eazy-E.
crazy.
That's so weird.
And Eazy also NWA. He was the leader of NWA, you know.
Yeah.
He's the one who got NWA together. And it's just really interesting how far his influence spans, and he made a lot of, he was also like one of the first, like, you know, I feel like comedy music, comedy hip hop. Obviously, we had Weird Al Yankovic, but someone who's doing it from actual like a place of hip hop. You know, like when he did was it Merry Motherfucking Christmas.
Yeah.
That shit was hilarious. Like, ho, come sit on my face. I mean, lap, and like all of that shit, which now maybe is like a lot more silly, but back then was like hilarious. Like, did he do that?
Listen. I love the feeling of like kind of not funny West Coast rap skits that are supposed to be funny.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
One of my favorite songs ever, which is also like one of the most misogynistic songs I ever heard, and maybe I should probably take a class on this, but fucking Ain't No Fun by Snoop Dogg, Nate Dogg, and like, I mean, it's like Warren, pretty much all 213 is there, and then I think Corrupt is there too. And so if you listen to that, I listened to that the other day, and I love that song, and I'm pretty sure Joe likes that song, but in the beginning of it, it's got the fucking skit, and he's just like, oh, you're back at the DJ, you're back at the jack off hour, this is DJ Easy Dick. And I was just like, my girl looks at me, she's like, what the fuck are we listening to? Like, it's the same energy as the
but that's
come
where
sit
like
on my
DJ
face,
Hentai
I mean
Daddy
laugh.
comes from.
Yeah, it's the
You know what I
same
mean?
thing.
and again, like, we wouldn't have Snoop without any Eazy-E, because Snoop was like a huge Eazy-E fan coming up, even though they ended up beefing as soon as Snoop started coming to prevalence, because Dr. Dre left NWA at that point. Snoop came up on Eazy-E, and if it weren't for Snoop, we wouldn't get Joe Mama. And I'm gonna explain why. We wouldn't have Joe Mama if it weren't for Snoop, because Joe Mama is an evolution of These Nuts, and that's a West Coast skit too.
Dude,
So
all I'm saying
it's crazy, right?
like some might consider a miss, but the jack off hour with DJ Easy Dick is definitely a hit for me. And that's my soapbox moment for today, is pay respects to DJ Easy Dick and the jack off hour.
And yo, shouts out to, since we gave a lot of love to the West Coast this time, I'm gonna just say shout out to everybody we didn't mention. There's just so many, obviously a lot of people who started. DJ Quick, shout outs to DJ Quick.
Fuck DJ
shout outs
Quick.
To
just saying, but we didn't mention fuck
you
those
know what?
guys.
No, fuck that.
No, I like DJ Quick.
Shout outs to everybody. I mean, they're really, the West Coast was really I had on many different things. There were a lot of like low key releases that not many people know about that were also very influential, like Banging on Wax, I think, the Bloods and Crips album, stuff like that. It was just like so
that's
culturally
great.
significant to the evolution of hip hop that maybe never even really reached mainstream success, but definitely rumbled and had really strong influences on the hip hop culture, which is now pop culture.
You just gave me like the fucking throwback to. You remember this song? This is way later, but do you remember
When You Blood Throw It Up?
If you blood throw it up. Brah, brah, brah. Dun, 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 dun.
What a classic.
Yeah. I used to listen to that shit all the time, and like I remember I would listen to it. Like I'm so fucking just white and nerdy, okay? Because I remember I'd like ride around in my grandma's old fucking Pontiac. Not Pontiac. I don't know why I said that. It's like a Buick, like a fucking like a LeSabre. Yeah, it's like a LeSabre, and with a shitty system in it. And I had like it was like fuck, dude. It was like a we didn't have aux cables at the time. Like in that one, there was no aux cable, so you had to buy this thing that was like it goes into your cassette deck, and then you plug it in your iPod in through that. And I had that shit, and I would listen to fucking If You Blood Throw It Up like super loud, and I was always like, dude, I'm gonna get shot. Like I remember like riding around like rural South Carolina. If you blood throw it up, if you blood throw it up, bleh, bleh, bleh. And I'm just like, dude, like
fucking
like,
go past them.
I'd always be like looking around like all paranoid and shit. Like
but the rush was worth it. I mean, we were kids and very impressionable, and this music was hard, and like you hear it, and it's so like, fuck, this is so dope. I want to like blast this as loud as I can. It's hard to explain it. I don't think there's much thought that goes behind it. It's like a visceral sensation that you just kind of go off of. You're not like really sitting down like, okay, let me think of the repercussions of me bumping this song in like a rural part of my town and whatever.
Man, I'm just saying, all I'm saying is only time I say be down is when homie's trying to be down. You know what I'm saying? That's a line. That's a bar.
There's a lot of funny like puns and bars like in general on that song. Lots of BC related, like, you know what, almost battle rap type stuff.
It reminds me of the fucking like all those dudes that anytime like a Crip would battle rap, there'd always be like the dude who's like, I'll part the seas like Moses, like shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. So
the real
shout out to the West
time.
Coast. The West Coast doesn't get as much love anymore, I feel like, because the South has been king for a long time, and deservingly so. They've continued to help evolve the genre, and that's really appreciated. The East Coast is always looked at as like, oh, that's where it came from, the Bronx is the motherland, and that's for sure facts. And definitely birthed like Tribe Called Quest, Nas, Wu-Tang, Jay, Big, etc. But the West Coast deserves to forever be respected for the Dog Pound, NWA, DJ Quick, and way more influence. E40, not just Los Angeles, California. You gotta give the Bay respect too. Everybody says hella these days. It's part of like modern day, just vernacular. That
pretty much everything is started in Oakland, like in the Bay, like
is now
like
mainstream.
Bay Area, like things that were said like 10 years ago, people are now finally saying. Or even like I think hella was like way before then. That was like fucking 20 years ago. And
absolutely.
Easily, maybe even earlier than that. And just motherfuckers
I think 30 maybe even. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like people just really get like everyone, all the fucking the fashizi shit that went on, and like
the whole Snoop's whole style. The way that he spoke and everything, even though he's a Los Angeles rapper, that man, you can't tell me this guy didn't grow up on E40 and just a bunch of other Bay Area dudes, you know what I mean? Like the way he spoke.
The thing about E40 that's so impressive is that he's just like a walking slang machine, but he doesn't like try. It's just like the way he
No.
talks, and he'll say
Dude,
some
he
shit.
speaks like a
and
fucking poet.
yeah, and he'll just be like it's so funny to hear him on wax too, because like he'll just like say some shit that's like real. I remember there's this on the first rap album I ever had, was this Crunk Juice by Lil Jon. There's like a skit of him talking, and one of my favorite things he says is, I could sell pills to a dolphin, not a dolphin, a dolphin, or I could sell peanuts to an elephant, biatch. And I was just like, dude, this guy's the coolest dude I've ever heard talk ever. So
Wasn't he also the one who had that like funny bear line? Where he was talking about like, if you see me, if you ever see me in a fight with a bear, help the bear, or some shit like that.
Oh wait, no, who is that? Was that E40? Hold on.
Am I tripping?
I don't know if that was him or not. I think it might have been. Hold on. Help the bear. It was.
Oh yeah. If you ever see me in a fight with the bear, don't help me, homie. Help the bear.
No, that was
1998 E40.
Oh no. That was Mystical.
What year?
2014.
Nah. See, E40 said it in 1998.
Oh, okay. Well, there's this thing of like
TKA
Mystical
Charlie
rap where
Hustle.
it's like the meme where he goes like I'm cold as a lamb with no hair. If you see me in a fight with a bear, don't help me, help the bear.
Yeah, that's definitely an E40 reference, because E40 said in the 80s. I'm forwarding you the thing. But it's funny. It's off a tape that definitely is like a that same kind of vein of album art and everything at the time. Wait, was he signed? Who was he signed to in 1998? Was he signed to Master P? Because it looks like a very Master P-esque. I guess a lot of
No,
stuff
he
back then
wasn't.
was very
I don't think he was
Master
signed. I don't think he was signed to him, but
P-esque. Snoop was, though. Wasn't that crazy?
that's real weird. But these Pen and Pixel, is that was Pixel and Pen and Pixel? I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember the name. Man, I used to be
Some of those were real fucking crazy.
Remember MySpace would have like those fucking widgets, or there'd be sites where you could like type in your name or whatever, and it would come out like, oh, you diamond or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I remember thinking that shit was hard.
Yeah, me too.
It still does look hard. Nostalgic as well. So yeah, the conclusion there is, man, the West Coast is just, it's still here. It's always been there and always will be. It's changed the English language. It's changed pop culture. I'm incredibly thankful for it. I wouldn't be who I am were it not for West Coast influence, just as much as if it weren't for East Coast and the influence of the South and Midwest.
Facts, man. Facts. We're all influenced by these great coasts. I think it's cool that we're all just amalgams of like what we listen to.
What else are we influenced by, Bill?
Cummies.